Hi flower friends, it's Nicole from Flower Hill Farm. We are back in the garage, and in today's video I'm going to give you a brief update on the Lisianthus that I was seeding the other day, and I want to show you what's happening in the grow room as far as my Ranunculus is concerned, because I did start that a little over a week ago. And then I'm going to be sowing stock seeds today. And I am going to be using my Swift blocker and the 14 by 18 trays, because guess what? I still can't find my soil blocker. Susan is still missing. I am desperately seeking Susan. So until I find my soil blocker, I'm using the Swift blocker, and I'm getting better at it. So I did I think 6 or 7 trays of Lisianthus. So I've used it, that would be, times 2. I'm getting the hang of it, and I'm getting faster with it. So it is about, trial and error, and just, you know what I mean? Practice makes perfect. Anyway, stock. I'm going to find my stock seed and choose what I'm going to be doing today. I think I'm going to do some antique rose. I think I have some pink, and I might even have some blue, like a purple, as far as stock is concerned. Briefly want to touch on the Buffalo Bills game the other day. In my last video, I said I was getting ready to watch the Buffalo Bills game. All I have to say is the Bills should have never lost the ball, and I just heard that they fired the coach, and I'm just angry, and I don't think that that was the right move. I don't think you're going to find a more passionate coach about the Bills team, and that's all I'm going to say. Okay, let's go down in the basement, and I'll show you the Lisianthus and the Ranunculus. Also, I know it's like a weird backdrop, but this is literally the garage. Brad works on machines in here. He's constantly has there's one of the 4-wheelers. We've got a few 4-wheelers, 2 or 3 sleds, and he's just working on things all the time. So that's the cleanest backdrop I have in here. Also, I know it's super filthy, but this is my new stove. I'm going to be installing this stove when we do a little bit of a kitchen upgrade. This was taken from a barn that was a wedding venue that my friend owned, and they were getting rid of the stove, and I said, no, I'm buying it. Guys, it's a Viking, and look at that jade color. Come on. It needs some work. 2 of the burners I think are broken, so Brad's going to fix this, and this is going to be my new stove. I'm not even going to tell you what I paid for it, because it was an unbelievable deal. Okay, I'll tell you. $800. Come on, you can't even get a regular new stove for that. A Viking for $800? Yes, please. Okay, going in the basement. In the grow room, it's a mess, guys. There's so many, I'm using the shelves for storage, but this is my grow shelf right now. Okay, here are the Ranunculus trays, and I was telling you guys about those labelers. The label machine that my husband got for Christmas, and I forgot to show it in the last video. Oh, the lighting is not great. Okay, so you can see that La Dolce Vita one. These are ones that I did. This is the Voyage Lavender Lisianthus, and this is the Voyage Light Apricot. I'm just so happy. And this machine was less than 20 bucks. Here's the Ranunc. Guys, now I'm only doing, I think I did about 400 Ranunculus, maybe a little bit more. I'm gonna do a second round. Look at these babies. They're growing not only roots, but also little green sprouts on all of them. And over here we have the Levante Rosa anemones. And if I pull this guy out, you can see, look at all, this is a week, last Sunday. Today's Monday, so it's been 8 days. We tuck that guy back in so the roots don't die. But everything is starting to sprout. I'm very happy. I'm loving this headband. I started a new face routine with a whole bunch of lotions, and I'm wearing the headband a lot now. Sorry, it's my new fashion statement. It's not a good look. I don't care. But this is my reality of not putting my hair in a ponytail, but keeping my hair out of my face. Okay, so I want to have these all planted out by the end of January. However, we are going into what my local meteorologist is saying, a very cold end of January. So I'm going to be watching the forecast. I don't want to put them out and have it be in the negatives. I want them to have some 20 to 30 degree temps that they can, acclimate to. And then if we get cold, I'll go out there with 5 layers of frost cloth and just cover them just to make sure that they are protected. Worst case scenario, I run an extension cord out there with a temporary heat source, but otherwise my hoop house is unheated. Okay, let's look at the baby Lisianthus that are growing so beautifully. I know it doesn't look like much, but there are lots of, and look, I'm already getting a little bit of algae right here. I need to get on top of that. I can do a little sprinkle of cinnamon. I have not gone to town yet to get the vermiculite that I was going to get. But also at this stage, my vermiculite is a little bit bigger. I don't have the fine vermiculite, and so I don't want to drown out the seeds. So once the seedlings are sprouted, then I can put my vermiculite. But if you have a fine vermiculite, you can absolutely put it on top. I am continuously spritzing these because some of the pellets are still intact, and I have my spritzer right there. This is also why I have algae already, because I'm doing this all the time to get these seedlings to sprout. I don't have to do this all the time once that they've sprouted. And you see that yellow right there? That is a fungus gnat trap. It's just sitting there. I don't have any evidence of fungus gnats right now, but a few months ago, I did have fungus gnats down here. I think they've all been killed off though, because I removed all of the sources of soil from this room, and I haven't seen anything since I did that. Down here, so this is one of those shelves that has the grates like this. What I did was I put a piece of styrofoam here, and then I put my heat mat on top of the styrofoam. Usually my heat mats are in a different location, but because I wanted them with the lights, I put them here. So what's happening is my heat mat is at 78 degrees and I have them completely covered. And then once I've got more than 50% germination, I'll probably take it off the heat mat and I will move it to a different shelf so that this heat mat is open and available for other trays when I start doing other ones, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do next, probably snapdragons. And I don't typically put snapdragons on heat. I just let them be on the shelf. I think it's about 53 to 55 degrees down here right now. That's what my gauge says. So now I've got the lights on. I've got a whole timer system set up. This is my timer system. I can put a link in the description right here. So you can see the green is when the lights turn on. That's 6 a.m. And then the red is when the lights turn off. That's 10 p.m. So my lights are on for 16 hours a day. Now this whole setup, I've got a whole entire strip for all the lights down here. The lights can also plug into themselves, but this was the very first shelf that we made. And so Brad did something special here. And then it's plugged into the wall outlet back there. You can see on this tray, which I'm using it for my canning storage right now, this whole shelving unit, but you can see they plug into the back of each other. And that way you only have to have the full, like the final one or the first one plugged into an outlet, and then they feed off of each other. I think you can have, with these lights, I think you can have up to 8 of them tied in together. Yep, so that's my only shelving unit that I've got open right now. On right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these shelving units. I am missing some lights. This light, I stole this light right here and I moved it down here because I wanted a wider light for the ranunculus. So that's there temporarily. I'll move it back once I have more shelves filled up. You can see how nicely the Swift blocks look. This was the first tray that I did, and I just got better every time. And I'm finding out the right consistency of liquid water to add to the soil, and they look good. They're holding up nicely. As you can see, I have some cleaning up to do in here. I've got a lot of trays all over the place, a lot of boxes all over the place. I use this for storage in the off season. I only grow in this space about 3 months out of the year, so then it kind of just is, storage, which I don't want it to be. I got new plates, and those are my old plates, and I had canning jars. This is my ketchup bottle. I make homemade ketchup, and this is one of them. We use that one. Oh, that one almost fell. This is not a good situation. I need to get some boxes and make sure I don't have any glass shards down here. This is also my gym. It's where we store the air conditioners. So I've been walking half an hour every day on my treadmill just so I can get my stamina back up after multiple surgeries. I've not used the elliptical yet, but this Wednesday I'm going back to Boston for my 6-week post-op for my hysterectomy, and hopefully I will be cleared for more activities. Okay, I grabbed the stock seeds that I want to start. I'm gonna do, so the tray holds 2 rows of Swift blocks, and I'm gonna do 1 color per each block, which is 72. So I'll have 72 iron blue. You know what? 72 doesn't feel like enough. I'm gonna do 1 tray for each color, which will be $144, which still doesn't feel like enough. I don't know if you guys have ever grown stock before, but there's absolutely nothing like it, especially when you have a bucket of it. The smell, the aroma is intoxicating, and I have grown it in mass in the hoop house before in previous years, and I've also ordered some in from the wholesaler when I didn't have any, for example, like a Mother's Day. If I didn't have blooms yet, I would order in to complement my flowers that I did have. And the stock that I get in from the wholesaler does not have the strength of aroma that mine does. And I don't know if that's because it was picked and then put in a cooler for whatever time. I do notice that when the stock goes in the cooler, it takes a little bit for it to start smelling delicious again. After it comes out of the cooler, it kind of dampens its smell. But it's intoxicating, and there's nothing like it. And I would grow an entire hoop house of stock if I had the room. And maybe I will someday. But right now, I'm gonna do one entire tray of iron blue, room for the photo here. And then I'm gonna do an entire tray of Stocks Champagne, because this is stunning. I also have apricot, antique rose. I'll do whole trays of those. I don't think I have the space in my hoop house for whole trays of those, which was why I was doing half trays. Decisions. You know what though? Here's my justification for that. I have a massive amount of delphinium that was chewed to the ground, and nigella that was chewed to the ground in the hoop house. Therefore, I think I have spaces open that were not open before. So I have new availability. There is space because the chipmunk decided to chew on some of my cold hardy annuals that I planted already. So I'm going to do, these are just in case. I'm putting stock in my stock that it will be back up in case my plants in the hoop house don't make it. Okay. And if you guys are curious about like all of the details about growing stock as a cut flower, there are so many nuances for this plant. I did a very in-depth stock video a couple of years ago. I will maybe put that here, maybe see if that pops up here. Please check that video out because it was full of delicious information. I am going to go grab a tray and the soil and my gloves and the Swift blocker, and we'll make some blocks. Fun fact, I'm gonna be dyeing my hair soon. And I actually was supposed to dye it on Wednesday, but because I'm going to Boston, we had to postpone. But I'm actually gonna go darker again. So this brown is my natural hair color. It's been a while. I've got highlights. So if you see me again and you see the brown, I'm gonna go medium brown with auburn, hints of auburn is what I'm doing. So that's what's happening. I'm excited because I don't like having to go get highlights every 8 weeks, and I think if I have more of a natural color, I just think it's gonna brighten me up. It's gonna brighten me up. I'm all about being bright in 2026. Ding! Okay, now I have my soil in the litter box, well, box of litter, and I have my tray all cleaned up, and I have the Swift blockers down on the ground. If you're not familiar with a Swift blocker, it's a little tool that has 72 holes and a little tiny something I gotta get off of there. What the heck is that? It's a pellet from the pellet stove that got in there and got wet and kind of exploded. You take the Swift blocker, you only need the bottom. So you take off the top, which has like the pushy things, and you set it aside, and then you take your soil and you fill these grates. They're just blocks. It's just a grate with 72 holes in it. You should rinse yours in between uses. I'm not so great about that. You can also sift the soil to prevent all the sticks and stuff that can prevent you from pushing the top part into the bottom part. Because all of the holes need to be accessible for the top part to push down, for the blocks to be released from the tool. Anyway, I'm getting faster at it. It would be a lot faster if I sifted the soil. My sifting tool, you guessed it, it's at the shop. Everything's at the shop. But this is a stick that's in Vermont compost. This is going to make it impossible by laying across the grate like that for me to push the top down. So if I had sifted it, time management would be much better because I've got, this is all the sticks that I've taken out from doing all the Lysianthus the other day. But I just want to get this done. Next time I go to town, I am going to get the sifting tool that I have. I could probably use, I don't even have anything that I could use here that's an equivalent, so. Okay, going pretty good. I'm feeling comfortable with this. See how much faster that was for me? I'm gonna get that. Except for I want, the corner feels empty. Get a little more in that corner. Oh, why don't I just grab a huge stick? Yeah, sifting would make this go so much faster. Highly recommend sifting your soil. I have not tried using Pro Mix in this. Pro Mix does not stick together well for me. Pro Mix mixed with something might be better, but Vermont compost is known for holding up well in soil blocks. Just the combination of all of the ingredients makes a nice sturdy block. Okay, I'm good with that. Couple pieces that I see that might be a pain in the tush for the top. We don't need a problem. Okay, now I'm gonna take the top and do this again. Okay. See? Woohoo! I came right up. I like to get down here and just do a little shake check so that nothing is stuck to the couple that are, okay. I am putting that on the ground. Okay, they were a little bit stuck over here. I'm gonna put them back in their little organized little pile. And then I'm gonna take all the extra that was on the side of the machine thingy, put it back there so I don't have a dirty tray when I start to water. Okay, beautiful. I have a gorgeous 72. I'm gonna spin this around, do it again, so I have a full 144, and then I'll plant my seeds. Goody goody gumdrops. Okay, just at the end again. Got a little stuck. We're good. It's a stinking rotten mess in here. I apologize. There's a paper towel right here. I love these garage paper towels that my husband has, the blue ones. They're handy dandy because he leaves them around everywhere. So I just use them for second and thirdsies. Okay, so I also, okay, this is the printer. Look how little it is. It's Bluetooth. So all you have to do is turn it on, Bluetooth it to your phone. You have to download an app and then type in what you want it to say, and a little label prints out right here, and you just push this little side button up, it cuts the label off, and then you can label your tray with it. I am using my phone to record this vlog right now, so I cannot show you, but I can show you a screenshot of the app. And we're gonna be doing Stock's champagne today. And so I'm gonna put that in the label. I'll show you guys, I'll make one, I'll show it to you, we'll label the tray. I'm gonna wait until, I just washed this tray so the sides are a little wet. I don't want to try to adhere the sticker. And some questions in the last video were if it was a like heat transfer sticker. I'm not sure, but the description of the labels are water resistant laminated labels, and I can tell you that they are. So this is like the back part of it. It comes out with a coating on it so that it's not going to like fade or anything like that. Okay. I'm not sure that I would use them outside. I'm not saying that. I'm saying like they're good for my grow room. I don't think I would use these outside, but maybe I'll experiment with doing that. But for $19.99, I think it's like $30 for with 3 rolls of the label maker thingies. Okay, stock seeds are so much easier than Lisianthus seeds size-wise, but I still use the same method. I just use a little toothpick, and that's all I do. I thought this might be a good time to give you guys a health update because so many of you were asking how I've been doing, just to catch everyone up so that everybody's on the same page if you're new here. Last March, I had my annual mammogram. I've been getting them. This was my 4th mammogram. I was at the time 43 years old, and I'm 44 now. Whatever. I'm 32 at heart. Okay, so I had my annual mammogram. Every year I get the piece of paper telling me that I have dense breasts and that they'd like to do an ultrasound. I would go in for an ultrasound and things would be fine. So I expected to get a phone call saying that we'd like to take more images. However, this time I had a different doctor. I started seeing a different gynecologist who ordered the test. And she called me, her office, not her. And she said, there's something suspicious and we'd like to take a closer look. This was the first time that they said there's something suspicious. So that's different than you have dense breasts and we'd like to order an ultrasound. My spidey senses started to go off and I immediately kind of knew, yep, I have breast cancer. I knew something was wrong. Something's been going on with me. I had even said to my husband at one point last year before this all happened, I said, I feel like there's cancer in me somewhere and we just don't know it yet because I was so tired all the time. I was collapsing on the couch. Something was wrong. So between the breast cancer diagnosis and within 8 weeks of that, I also had an ovarian cyst rupture. It was a lot. That said, a lot of things. So in July, I had a double mastectomy in Boston. A double mastectomy is where they take your breast tissue off completely. And I was one of the lucky ones where well, maybe it's not one of the lucky ones. So there are differing opinions on this. This is TMI, turn it off if you don't want to know. I was able to keep my nipples because my cancer was nowhere near the nipples. They tested them and they came back as cancer free. So I feel that helped me mentally. And then, so I had reconstructive surgery, meaning I have fake boobs now. That's just the name of the game. That's called reconstructive surgery in November, which they just made me whole again. And that's, again, people have different opinions. Some people stay flat, and more power to you. I'm on the fence with that myself. Some days I'm like, just cut everything. I just want to be flat. It must be easier. But, you know, I'm 44. I still have, hopefully, a lot of life to live, and I wasn't ready for that yet. Who knows what the story will be 15, 20 years from now. Maybe I'll be ready for that. So I had reconstructive surgery in November, and I'm still recovering from that. I'm still not completely recovered, and I still have a 10-pound weight limit. And then, before all this cancer stuff happened, I had been diagnosed with massive uterine fibroids. And the uterine fibroids were so large that they were squishing my bladder so that I had to pee up to 4 times an hour. Usually it was 2. But if I was drinking water or something, I was having to pee every 15 to 20 minutes. And it was so obnoxious, especially at the shop. When I have customers and I'm the only one there, I would have to excuse myself all the time to use the bathroom. It was quality of life. But then I was diagnosed with cancer and they said, we need this first. Let's tackle that. And then we'll tackle the fibroids because the fibroids aren't going to kill me. Excuse me, my nose is running out here. Oh, I just got dirt in my mouth. Anyway, so I ended up having to reschedule my hysterectomy because of my reconstructive surgery. So I ended up having my hysterectomy on December 10th, also in Boston. Shout out to all of my surgeons. They're fantastic. They have been so amazing. I have seen them. Well, the hysterectomy doctors I've only seen a couple times, but I had complications with my mastectomy. I had fluid building up a lot, and I had to have weekly trips to Boston to have it drained. They were taking out like lots of cc's of fluid that was retaining in my the chest cavity where my breasts were removed, because I had something called tissue expanders put in. It's the stuff you don't want to know until you need to know it. So now I know all these things, and actually a lot of people reach out and ask me about it because the rate of breast cancer diagnosis, even in my small community, it's skyrocketed, both invasive and non-invasive. And I was one of the lucky ones where we caught it so early that I didn't need to have radiation or chemotherapy. I had the option to have basically a lumpectomy and then followed by radiation or chemotherapy. Or I could have a double mastectomy and no further treatment. Those were my options. And as long as my tissue margins came back clear, I was able to not anything else. It's so overwhelming to have to make these decisions, and you're making the decisions all sitting there while you know that there is cancer inside of you. So you feel like it's a ticking time bomb. Like, is it spreading? Oh, my appointment's not for 3 weeks. Okay, well, is it going to be in my lungs in 3 weeks? Probably not. But those are the things that you go through in your mind when you're diagnosed with something like that. And then there are weeks in between appointments, and then like 6 to 8 weeks before you have surgery. It's just a scary time. And it was high anxiety, and I did have so much love from my community and from you guys supporting me, and it was really vital to getting through it. And then my husband was a literal rock. Every appointment, he's in the room with me. He's literally, I had drains after my surgery. He's cleaning my drains, emptying my drains, redoing the bandages. Like, it was a level of intimacy that we had yet to experience. And I don't understand how we feel closer, because we're super close. We've been together since we were teenagers, and like I said, I'm 44. We've been together almost 30 years, and somehow we're closer after this experience. And I hope to God we don't have to go through anything else like this again. But man, woo, it really can test some relationships, and it didn't test ours at all. It really just made it stronger. Okay, enough bragging on my husband. So the hysterectomy was more than just a hysterectomy, friends, because it's never just something. Because when I do something, I do it big. So I also had to have my bladder repaired because the uterine fibroids were on it so much. So I had to have a bladder sling. Yep, I have a bladder sling. And I also had to have not 1, not 2, but 3 prolapse repairs. And I won't go into detail about that, but I had multiple prolapses, and those are caused both by the weight of the fibroids, but also I gave birth naturally twice, and there were some repairs to be done. It's all fixed up, ladies and gentlemen. TMI, I don't care. But it was quite the recovery. I thought it was going to be the worst of the 3 surgeries. I thought it was going to be very painful to sit down after a hysterectomy, prolapse repairs, bladder sling. It wasn't. I was able to sit in the car. About 3 hours after the surgery, I was discharged. All you have to do is pee. Like, as long as you can empty your bladder, they're like, you're good. See you later. Come back in 2 weeks for a post-op. And it took 4 weeks for me to get to my post-op because my surgery was December 10th. 2-week post-op. Well, that's the week of Christmas. Nobody's working then. And so I went for my 2-week post-op on January 9th. So it was a 4-week post-op. Anyway, everything's healing nicely. I did have an infection in one of my incisions, and I had to go to the emergency room on a Sunday night. I was using the bathroom, and I hadn't looked at my incisions that day, but I had laparoscopic. So right here, there's one little incision, and after I went pee, I stood up, and I noticed that it was swollen and red. And I was like, okay, that's not good. And if I wait until tomorrow and call Boston, I felt like, because it was Sunday night, like 8 p.m., I felt like I might wake up in like sepsis. So that's my brain. And so I said, Brad, you need to take me to the emergency room right now. This was 5 days after surgery. And I diagnosed myself. I went in, I said, I have a little bit of an infection in my incision. I just need an antibiotic. I still had to wait for 2.5 hours, but that's all they did. But they just gave me an antibiotic and they sent me on my way. So it was no big deal. But it felt like a big deal at the time because you don't want an infection after surgery. I've had surgeries before without infections, so I was really scared that it was going to be worse than it was. But nope, 5 days of antibiotics and I was okay, good to go. And then that surgery, it's less about the hysterectomy and more about the prolapse and the bladder repair that is limiting me weight-wise. So I can't lift more than 10 pounds. Maybe Wednesday he'll clear me for more gradually. But so my concern is ProMix, guys. You know those bales of ProMix that I lift 10 to 15 times a day? I am not going to be able to do that. I'm really nervous about destroying my repairs that I had done. So it's going to be a gradual, return to my physical self. And I know I have to take it slow. Walking half an hour on the treadmill is making me feel stronger. I've gained 30 pounds. 30 pounds. And I have to be okay with it because starting in May when I had biopsies in April, May. Did I have 3? No, I only had 2. I had 2 biopsies. So my physical limitations started really then with the biopsies because they're here. They don't want you to use your chest muscles after you have a biopsy for 2 weeks. And so then I had my mastectomy in July, and then another surgery in November, and then another surgery in December. So I have been limited physically for that long. It's been 9 months. I'm treating it like a pregnancy. I had 9 months of being limited and I know that some women can be physical during pregnancy. That's not what I'm saying. But it took me 9 months to gain 30 pounds. That's about what I gained with my kids. So I'm treating this like a pregnancy. I'm being okay with it. And I know, okay, all right, the pregnancy's over. And now it's time to get back in shape. I started dieting. I'm down like 4 pounds this week, I think. I'm just eating all my salads, a lot of hard-boiled eggs, and then smaller dinners. And I'm good with that. I'm not counting calories or anything like that. But I am walking, and that I think is helping a lot. Anyway, if you're interested in this stuff, I know a lot of people have been waiting for an update. If anyone has any questions about the bladder or prolapse repair, go ahead and ask them. I know that there's not a lot of information out there about that. I can tell you that I didn't have any pain. I have some questions when I go back to my doctor on Wednesday mostly about the bladder. I do have 1 or 2 small concerns about that. The sling surgery has been phenomenal. The other day I went 5 hours without needing to use the bathroom. I mean, when I tell you I was using the bathroom, I was getting up 4 to 5 times throughout the night. This is not a joke. I was up all night long, and the Dr. Kim, he's amazing. And he was like, oh no, that's not normal. You can't be getting up 4 or 5 times during the night. He said 2 or 3 is a lot. 4 or 5 is way too many times. Even once, like you're not supposed to have to get up during the night to go to the bathroom. I've kind of always been like a get up at least once time because I take a lot of vitamins before I go to sleep. So I'm downing like 2 glasses of water before bed. Anyway, I do have some bladder questions for him, but overall, I am very satisfied with all of my surgeries, all of my surgeons, all of the healthcare teams in Boston at Brigham Women's Hospital that I've been dealing with for the past, I think my first appointment there was June 9th, my anniversary. And I have had such a great experience with them. They're so knowledgeable. This is what they do day in and day out. And they never once made me second guess or question their decisions and their recommendations for my care. So anyway, that's basically what's going on with me. I am still limited physically, but I'm going to have those limitations lifted soon. Okay, other news, my podcast was just renewed for 2 more seasons. So I think there are 3 more episodes in season 1. There are 10 episodes per season. And then we're going to roll right into season 2, no stopping. I've got some guests lined up. I've got some emails out inquiring about guests, new guests. And you have to remember, it's very hard for me because it's not just a flower farming podcast. I was hired by Botanical Interests in Epic Gardening to host a gardening podcast. So as much as I would love to have just flower farmer guests on, I do have to mix it up because it's a podcast for gardeners. It's a podcast for plant lovers. It's not just a flower farming podcast. So while I do have some flower farmer guests, I do need to shake it up and make sure that I have a broader audience than just the flower farm. So, and we're doing that. I think we had a great lineup of guests this first season, and I'm excited about guests for season 2. I'll be sitting down with Kevin from Epic Gardening in season 2. I'm pretty sure Erin and Patient Gardener is signed on for season 2. If not, we're gonna get her signed on. I love Erin. She's said she would do it. We just haven't nailed down a date yet. I've got other people lined up for season 2. I've got Gray, Gardening with Gray. I can't remember. I've got some emails out to some people, but if you guys missed any of the podcasts, they are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and they're also on the Botanical Interest YouTube channel, so you can check them out there. Oh, other news. Okay, so I'm going to be one of the speakers on the main stage at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival in February. The end of February. I'm going to be on the stage on February 22nd. 222. Those are my lucky numbers. I don't know why, but they are. And I will be one of the speakers. We're actually going to be doing a live podcast recording on stage. So we have a guest that will be with me, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 3 guests. I'm not sure if we're going to do a panel yet or not, but you guys can come. And I think we're going to be doing some meet and greets as well. I'm going to be there with Kara from Blooming Joy, Jennifer from the Backyard Bouquet podcast. Who else is going to be there? Just the Epic Gardening team, and there's a bunch of us that are going to be there. Oh, Jordan and Kay, they were guests on season 1 of the podcast. They're going to be there. There's going to be a lot of people there in the gardening, in the social media gardening world. So you guys come hang out. It's the biggest garden festival in the country. Between 55 and 65,000 people come over the course of 4 or 5 days. I'm excited. I've never been. I've actually never been to Seattle. So I'm excited. And then guess what, guys? Guess flippin' what? I'm going to Europe. What? I'm going to Europe. I am going to France and Amsterdam and Holland with Dave Dowling. Come on now. With Dave and a group of about 50. I'm tearing. I'm so excited. So Dave, on my birthday in December, I get this email from Dave Dowling, and he says, hey, we're organizing a trip to Europe with a small group of cut flower farmers. You want to come? I'm crying. Yes, I want to go. It's like a dream come true. So we are flying in at the end of March, guys, I am stepping away from the greenhouses for a whole week, and I am trusting my team. I am trusting Bradley and Ashley, my ladies, and whoever Brad needs to come help them that week. I am trusting them, and I have a very detailed list of duties for them to do while I'm gone. But I'm going to France for 2 days, and we are going to visit the breeders of the Ranunculus and the dahlias and all of the plants that come from Europe. We're going to the source. I am so excited. And then, so 2 days in France, and it's like the southern France, so the Mediterranean, right on the water. I am so excited. Galina from Micro Flower Farm, she's my roommate. We're hanging out together. Guys, it is a lineup of people, let me tell you. I am so excited. And for me, this trip is full circle for me because last June, I was supposed to go to Asheville, North Carolina. I had signed up for a bouquet or event centerpiece workshop with one of the best florists, Ellen Frost. And I was so excited to sign up for that workshop. It ended up being the same day as one of my biopsies in Boston for the breast cancer. So I had to cancel the 3-day workshop, 2-day workshop. I had to cancel my plans for that trip to Asheville, which I was so bummed about because my cousins live in Asheville. So I was going to stay with them. We were going to have the best time. But because of breast cancer, I had to cancel this trip, and I was not able to take this workshop with Ellen Frost. Guess who's going to Europe with me? Ellen Frost. No big deal. So it's just a full circle meant to be moment where I had to cancel this because of cancer, and then less than a year later, we're going to Europe together. So we are gonna go to France and then we're going to Amsterdam for 5 days. We are going to see the big, huge flower auction. We are going to a botanical garden. We are visiting the breeders there. It is so fun. We're gonna go and we're gonna get in a boat in the canal, and the boat's like, it's gonna be great. I'm so excited. And yes, it's the end of March, so it's not gonna be fields of tulips yet. We're gonna be a couple weeks before the fields of tulips, but it is going to be fields of daffodils and hyacinth and crocuses. And then they have the indoor gardens where it will be like just greenhouses full of blooming tulips. I cannot wait. It's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna take you guys with me. My plan is to bring my camera gear and three outfits, and I'm doing laundry in France or wherever because I want to be able to capture as much as I can. I am bringing backup batteries for my backup batteries. So we will hang out in France and Amsterdam together, and I cannot wait. It's I had to get my passport. I've never been out of the country. I mean, I've been to Canada, but you just, until recently, you didn't need a passport for Canada. You still don't. You can get an enhanced license. Anyway, I am doing all those things, so I'm excited. There's a possibility that I'm going to the Philadelphia Flower Show, but that's just a possibility. I don't know that for sure. Anyway, how exciting is that? I cannot flip and wait. Who else is going on this trip to Europe? I don't want to make announcements for them, so you'll find out. But there are a lot of people in the cut flower world that are going, and I'm so excited to be one of them. It is a dream come true, and yes, Galena is my roommate. We're hanging out. We're gonna talk shop. Galena and I, actually, we've been talking quite a bit, and we just have so many ideas. And so we are gonna brainstorm together about the best cut flower ideas that we can come up with. We're doing that already, but this will be like in person, and I can't wait. So time to focus on these seeds, guys. I've been jibber jabbering away and not seeding anything. I've only got one. I've been talking for 25 minutes. Oh my gosh. But I feel like there's just so much to say because I didn't make many videos last year because of my health. And most of my videos that I did make were health related. And I know you guys are more, I know you guys care about me, but like, you guys are here for the flowers, so. Okay, now I'm going to print the label out. Here is a recording of the app and me using the app and typing out what I need. I am so grateful for this little machine. I love the neatness that my grow room now has with all of these printed labels. Okay, I just printed off this. This is Stocks Champagne, and this little thing right here cuts it, and then it just has a split back. A split back off one side, off the other side, and this is laminated. You can see how glossy it is. Okay, Stocks Champagne. I am so excited. Oh, it's still wet on that side. I'm gonna put it right here on this side. We have Stocks Champagne. I'm gonna spritz it, cover it, and put it downstairs in the grow room. Okay. I think that'll do it, guys. I'm not gonna make you sit here and watch me do another tray of stock. So I am going to say goodbye, and I think I'm gonna make a salad, edit this video, come back out here, and plant more seeds. So I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you soon.